And it's a very old-fashioned notion that the man is responsible to make a home for his wife and that she lived with her parents until marriage. But I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it. It's just an old-fashioned notion that we have tried to move forward from, and trying to have equal responsibility for a relationship on both parties. And, we have to be extremely thoughtful and caring about how we set up our households and what we can afford. And there has to be a lot of money discussion before you get married. That's why I always say, read my book, because one of the biggest things I read about in all the advice columns, in all the money programs, is the disparity in money being brought into the house. The disparity is, I'm not sure, is it disparity or disparity, but the difference, I know there's disparaging remarks. So it's disparity income and how the couple handles that. And the arrogance sometimes from the person who makes the most money, thinking that then nothing else in the household is their responsibility. People need to sit down and discuss all of this. Everybody wants to get married, and the majority of people have not had a discussion about money. And the two people could be off the rails in how they view money. One could be a saver and one's a spender. One loves credit cards being maxed out, doesn't care. The other one says, I don't want any debt. You can have people who don't even eat the same food, so grocery shopping's an issue. Someone takes long showers, someone does not. People like their milk put in the door, the other one in the refrigerator. Nobody discusses it, and then they all become issues once you're living together and are married. Believe it or not, it is a fact that couples who live together that are not married still do not have money discussions as a partnership. They each handle their own money. So they actually then, let's say they live together for 3 years and then get married. During the 3 years before they were married, they did not join their accounts. They did not do joint discussions. They just said, okay, the rent is $3,000 a month. You give $1,500, I'll give $1,500, but they don't know any of the other spending. They might share utilities, and then they get married, and all of a sudden they haven't discussed how they spend money, and now they're fighting all the time. Money is actually is the number one thing people fight over. Sex and religion and politics are on the other side of money. Money's number one. So I'm encouraging you to read my book, The Common Sense Guidebook to Mastering Your Money. It's a very short book, but has a lot of information in it. And I'm telling you, if you're trying to get engaged and married, live together, join a partnership, whatever, you need to discuss money. You need to discuss your relationship with it. You need to understand their relationship with it. Don't just jump in, you're making a mistake. Discuss money. I'm telling you, don't marry anybody until you understand their money spending habits and how they view money and how they view housework. Don't get married unless you know that your partner that you're marrying will, has skill to run the household if you're ill, if you're out of town. What kind of child skills do they have? Don't just assume because you love each other that you can overcome all of that. Can't overcome it all. You have to have skills. I really want to teach a life skills class more than anything, even though, I made all the mistakes. So I definitely know what's right and what's wrong to do. But this guessing game that people enter relationships with is really wrong. And once you decide you think this is the person you're going to marry, all those discussions have to take place. Nothing should be a mystery about money. No money mysteries in marriage. I think it's a good saying. So yeah. And you need to know, what kind of saver is your spouse? What kind of relationship do they have with their family about spending? What do Christmases look like? What does vacations with family look like? All of those things need to be talked about. And because people get uncomfortable, they stop talking, because it might elicit a negative response or a fight. They don't talk about it. And then, oh my God, talk about the fights and the ramifications later. Pretty bad. Talk about money. Make sure you take the mystery out of your partner's money and yours. It's crucial. And don't hold money over people's heads. It's really rude. Either they make the money and you love them and you know they don't make as much money as you, or they don't have the education you do. Talk about all of that. Talk about some of your snobberies or your elitism if you have any of that. You could have been influenced by your parents greatly about who's worthy and who isn't. You need to talk about all of that before you bring someone into your life and your family and before you enter theirs and their family. Don't do it. I was so hated by my first husband's mother because I was poor and not of the religion she liked. And it made our marriage really difficult. Don't do it. Or discuss it and get it hammered out. Those are the only two things that work. Don't be naive.